Hi everybody and welcome to your practice. I'm Harriet and today's mini class is going to be on improving your arabesque. So if you are classically trained, if you're a ballet dancer, if you're a contemporary dancer, an arabesque line with the leg lifted at the back is a signature pose or position. Loads of us have seen dancers in that shape. And as a tendency for dancers, we tend to focus on the flexibility and getting the leg high. And actually what we need is the strength in order to maintain the leg lift, but also the strength in the back to maintain and hold that shape. Especially if you're partnering in a pas de deux or if you're being lifted, you need to be able to maintain that shape and that hold while your partner lifts you. And secondly, it's really important to build strength. If you're moving to other arabesque lines such as poncho, we need to have back strength as well. So for today's practice, you're going to need a block. If you don't have a yoga block, you can also grab a sturdy book. It's only going to be used for a couple of the exercises, but that's another alternative. And the main focuses of today's class is going to be the engagement of inner thighs. So typically as dancers, this is a part of the body that we don't tend to engage or strengthen, and it's actually the inner thigh which helps us to create turnout. The glute is also a part of that as well, so we need to have strong and engaged glutes, again to help externally rotate the leg or to take the leg into turnout. We're going to be looking at the action of the pelvis, what we're doing with the pelvis when we're making our arabesque shape. And we're going to start to incorporate some strength work into your training in order for you to be able to hold arabesque and create that curve within the upper back. So to begin, come to lay on the floor. Just take your block or your substitute block somewhere near you because you're going to grab it in a minute. But for the moment, just laying down on the back. Bring the soles of the feet down to the floor. You can take the feet wide as your yoga mat. Just bring the knees in towards one another. They don't have to touch. And then hands onto the belly. Allow the eyes to close. And just taking a moment to settle into stillness. Settle into feeling your body in this shape. Feeling your body being supported by the floor. And just noticing how you're feeling today. Are there any parts of the body which feel tight? Which feel tense? Is the body feeling tired? Or maybe the body's feeling relaxed, energized, at ease. However, if the body is feeling tight or tense, can you start to use your exhales just to allow any tension or tightness or gripping just to soften? Reminding yourself that for the moment there doesn't need to be any huge muscle engagement. There doesn't need to be any gripping, any forcing. And as you've started to take a few inhales and exhales, maybe you can start to feel that the body is starting to soften into that relaxation. Taking 2 more cycles of inhale and exhale. At the end of your next exhale, just allow the eyes to softly open. Walk the feet in so that the heels of the feet are now a bit more in line with the sitting bones. And then just taking your block, I tend to take the block on the longest width and then placing that in between the legs. And then just with the feet on the floor, start to bring some awareness into the adductors, the inner thighs, so squeezing the block. And as dancers, this can be an area that we're pretty weak. We tend to turn the legs out, we're always externally rotating, and a lot of our inner thigh work is pretty weak. So we need to be making sure that we're strengthening not just the glutes, but also the inner thigh. And it's the inner thigh which is the action which helps us take our leg from retire through attitude and then into our arabesque line. So keeping this engagement, now just start to hover the feet off of the floor. Doesn't have to be high, but we're just starting to incorporate a little bit of core engagement. And then bring the feet down. Keep squeezing the block. Notice if there's a tendency to relax. And then same thing, lifting the feet this time a little bit higher, so a bit more core engagement. Keep squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing the block. Keep breathing, feet are active. Stay for 5, keep squeezing 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the feet down to the floor, take the block out from in between the legs. Maybe you can start to feel that the inner thighs have started to wake up, core is also waking up. And then roll over to one side, make your way onto tabletop position. And then in tabletop position, start to move through your cat-cows. So just starting to articulate through the spine. Inhale, the belly falls as you look forward. Exhale, press the hands down into the floor, round through the spine. So keeping this going with your breath. Articulating, starting to get some movement through the spine. So that same feeling as though the block was squeezing between the inner thighs. Can you see if you can start to hug the legs towards one another? So we're almost creating that same feeling. Hugging, inner thighs activated, inner thighs working. Mobilizing through the spine. Then inhale, come back to a tabletop neutral spine. Front body is hugging towards back body. And then lengthening the right leg towards the back of your mat. So for the moment, just keep the toes on the floor. And we're going to work with parallel, and then we're going to start to incorporate some turnout. So for the moment, the toes are down on the floor, the back of the pelvis, the sacrum is level. As you exhale, see if you can start to lift the right leg, heel to the level of your glute, and feel that it's the inner thigh that is lifting the leg higher. From there, squeeze your heel towards your glute, and again, see if you can raise the heel a little bit higher. So now what we're doing is we're building strength in the hamstring, in the glute. As dancers, another area that we tend to focus more on flexibility than we do on building strength. Keep this engagement and now start to outwardly rotate, so the knee is now opening towards the right side of the room, and that action is really happening in the hip. Come back to turned in. One more time, keep squeezing the heel towards your glute as you start to externally rotate that upper thigh bone. Bring the leg down to the floor. Come back, tabletop position. Maybe you can feel some heat, some generated in that glute, in the hamstring, which is great. We want to be building strength and flexibility. Lengthening the left leg. Do the same thing on the other side. So for the moment, back of the sacrum is level. Then exhale, lifting the foot. Keep the foot flexed. Heel to the level of your glute. Think inner thigh is lifting the leg higher. And then bring the heel, squeeze in towards the glute. And then exhale from the hip, so not the foot or the knee, from the hip socket. See if you can externally rotate. So we're really finding that action in the ball and socket joint, not creating the turnout from our feet. Building strength in our glutes and in our hamstrings. Lengthen the leg. And then making your way down onto your belly. Laying on your belly, bring your forearms forward like the number 11. And then as you start to lift the chest, think about length. So chest is lifting forward rather than trying to reach up with the crown of the head and crank back, crushing into lower back. So in our arabesque, we always want to look for length, or even in any back bend. It's the length of the curve rather than a shortening and compressing. Exhale, release, bring the hands down. This time, hands underneath the shoulders, elbows squeezing. Inhale, roll shoulders up and back. And again, rather than thinking about height, thinking about lengthening the chest forward as the elbows tug back, low cobra. So we're not yet using the arms, it's the strength in the back of the body. Exhale to bring the chest down. We'll do that one more time. Tops of the feet press down. Inhale, lift the chest, squeeze the elbows in. So we're just using the back strength first of all. Then start to use the hands, press down, maybe lift slightly higher into your cobra. And whatever you're doing with your head and neck, let that be a continuation of your spine. Exhale, release. Another great back strength and a locust pose. Hands beside the body, palms down. Breath in. And then exhale, start to lift the feet, the hands and the chest. So again, we're not thinking about height. We're thinking about creating length through the spine. Again, head and neck is a continuation. And we're looking to build strength in our paraspinal muscles, the long muscles that sit against the spine. Exhale, hands down. Same pose, locust pose, but slight variation. So bring the hands on top of one another. Back of the right hand towards the right forehead. As you exhale, start to lift the chest, taking the right hand with you. Lifting the left foot off of the floor. Doesn't have to be high. If anything, don't go high. Think about creating length. Exhale, bring the chest, the foot down. Changing the hands, left hand, back of hand to the forehead. As you exhale, start to lift the chest with the hand, lifting now the right foot. Exhale, bring everything down. Changing over again, right hand, back of hand to the forehead. Exhale, lifting the chest, the left leg. Think about inner thigh, lifting the leg. Exhale, bring it down. Left hand now to the head. Exhale, lifting the chest. Left hand, right leg lifts in opposition. Create length. Exhale, bring everything down. Take a moment, bend the knees. Windscreen wipe the shins side to side. And then just adding in the same thing, but now adding in more classical lines with the arms. So we're going to think almost first arabesque with the arms and the legs. So right arm lengthens long, left arm can just relax beside the body. As you exhale, lifting the right hand, left leg. Again, don't think about height. Think about length of curve. Exhale, bring that down. Same thing, other side. Left arm forward, right arm to the side. Arabesque, first arabesque. Lifting the chest, lifting the arm, palm faces down, right leg lifts. Exhale, bring everything down. We'll do that one more time each side. Right arm lengthens forward, palms are down. Inhale, lifting the left leg, reaching the right arm forward. Keep breathing. Exhale to bring that down. Same thing, other side. Left arm long, right leg lifts. Inhale to lift your chest. Think inner thigh is lifting, back is lengthening. Exhale, bring everything down. Left ear down to the floor, bend the knees, windscreen wipe the shins. And then bring the legs down, shift the bum back towards the heels. And then make your way up into downward facing dog. At the end of your exhale, walk towards the front edge of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, lift your chest. Now lift your halfway lift high enough that the shoulder and the hip point is either level or the shoulders are slightly higher than the hip. That's just going to give you an opportunity to strengthen the back side of the body. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way to stand, reaching the arms overhead, take a full body stretch. And then exhale, hands in towards heart center. So taking a standing variation, a standing pose, similar to what we've done on all fours. So shifting the weight over onto your left leg, bend your right knee and squeeze your heel towards your glute. That's going to fire up your hamstring, fire up your glute as well. From there, start to externally rotate your right leg as though you were in a low attitude. And that's coming from really deep within the hip socket. So not the knee or not the foot, it's the action of the ball and socket joint rotating. Keep squeezing the heel towards the glute. Exhale, bring the foot down, switch over other side. So find your balance, root down through the standing leg, send the left foot back and then squeeze the heel towards the glute. From there, start to find external rotation, low attitude, but keep squeezing the heel towards the butt. So we're really focusing on building strength as dancers, not just flexibility. Exhale, release. Feet hip width apart, we'll just take 2 half sun salutation. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, knees are slightly bent. Inhale, lift halfway, feel the back engage. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way to stand, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, back is engaged. Exhale, refold towards your thighs. Inhale, come all the way to stand, stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, hands in towards heart center. Inhale to reach the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, lift and lengthen the chest. Exhale, hands down, right foot steps back, you're in your low lunge. Inhale, lift the chest, press the floor away. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rock forward to high plank. Lower knees, thighs, hips, belly, ribs. Locust pose, hands beside the body, palms down. Inhale, lift your chest, your hands, your feet. And then exhale, transition back, downward facing dog. Inhale in down dog. Exhale, right foot steps forward, you're in your low lunge, back knee is lifted. Inhale, come high onto fingertips, look forward. Exhale, step your back foot to meet your front, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, feel your back engage. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way to stand, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, feel the back engage as you lift. Exhale, hands down to the floor, left foot steps back, you're in your low lunge. Inhale, your right shin is vertical. Exhale, hands down to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rock forward to high plank. Lower knees, thighs, hips, belly, ribs. Locust pose, hands beside the body. Inhale, lift the chest, the hands, then the feet. And then exhale, make your way back, downward facing dog. Inhale in down dog. Exhale, left foot forward, back knee is lifted. Inhale, press out through the heel of the back foot. Exhale, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, lengthen your chest, forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way to stand, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, hands into heart center. And then taking the fingertips onto the hips, so we're going to look at the action of the pelvis. So in order to lift our leg, there needs to be some movement within the pelvis. So rather than tilting the pelvis back, which is what we tend to do if we start to create back bends, in order to start to get our leg to about a 90-degree angle, maybe even past that, there needs to be a movement of anteriorly tilting the pelvis. So the rim of the pelvis is going to rock forward over the front thigh. So just taking the feet together, slight bend in the knees, fingertips onto the hip points. And you can really feel this action in an Uttanasana forward fold. So as you start to forward fold over the legs, you can feel the front rim of the pelvis is now rotating over the thighs. It's moving forward. Inhale, bend the knees, come back up. Do that one more time. Really feel that rotation of the pelvis forward of the thigh. So as you start to make your forward fold, the pelvis moves. Inhale, come back up. Now granted, when we make our arabesque shape, we don't want to be dropping the upper body, but we do want to be creating some tilt within the pelvis for us to lift our leg a little bit higher, or even 90 degrees, or even when we start to move into our full poncho. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift your chest, back is engaged. Exhale, hands down to the floor, step back, high plank. Exhale, lower knees, thighs, hips, belly, ribs. Inhale, take a cobra, squeeze the elbows in, chest is drawing forward. And then exhale, transition back, bum to heels, then downward facing dog. Down dog or child's pose. And then as you exhale, stepping the right foot forward, back heel is lifted. Make your way up, crescent lunge. So from crescent lunge, we're now going to start to work towards the shape of an arabesque, using some of the other poses that we've seen already in class. So start to shift or shorten your stance, and then the action of the pelvis. The front of the pelvis is going to start to tip over the front thigh. Keep the underneath knee bent to begin with. Start to transition your way into your right leg, flexing the back foot. So in a very similar shape to locust on the floor. For the moment, keep the back leg parallel, inner thigh is lifting. And then as though we were like doing locust on our belly, start to lift your chest. Stay for another cycle of breath. Maybe if you found your balance, start to press down with the standing leg, finding length in the back of the leg. And then exhale, step back, crescent lunge, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, low lunge, stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rock forward to high plank. Exhale, knees, thighs, hips, belly, ribs. Inhale, cobra pose. Chest draws forward as the arms, elbows, hands tug back. Exhale, make your way back, downward facing dog. Take a moment in down dog, re-establish your breath. At the end of your next exhale, left foot steps forward between the hands, making your way up, crescent lunge on the left side. So we really want to find that hips, belly, ribs are facing forward of our front thigh. Shorten your stance, keep the underneath knee bent, and then the action of the pelvis starts to initiate lifting the back leg. Think inner thigh lifting higher, arms beside the body, palms down, and then start to think locust in the upper body. If you found your balance, maybe start to find a bit more length behind the back of the standing leg. And then exhale, stepping back, crescent lunge, arms overhead. Hands down to the floor, low lunge. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rock forward to high plank. Lower knees, thighs, hips, belly, ribs. Inhale, cobra pose, but using the arms to lift a little bit higher. Neck is a continuation of the spine. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Breath in, inhale. Exhale out through the mouth. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. At the end of your exhale, step, hop or float towards the top of your mat. Inhale, chest lifts, back is engaged. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way to stand, take a full body stretch. Then exhale, hands in towards heart center. So we're now going to start to look to move through a passe, an attitude, into our full arabesque line. So our yogic version of our retire or passe is going to be a tree pose. So standing on the left leg, bringing your right foot to the inner thigh, to the calf. Bring the hands in towards heart center, or maybe even fingertips to the hips. So we've found already our external rotation. We're balancing on one leg. And like we previously did with our kind of turned out flamingo pose, start to take the leg off of the foot, keeping that external rotation, squeezing the heel towards the glute as you start to find a low attitude. Doesn't have to be high, but we're working to think about inner thigh, hamstring, glute engaged. As you start to lengthen the leg towards the back of the mat. Chest is not dipping. The pelvis is slightly rotating forward as the chest is lifting up. So very low arabesque. Bring the foot down. We'll do the same thing other side. Shift the weight onto the right foot. Take the left foot either to the thigh, to the calf. I'm going to switch sides so you can see. I'm going to move through that flamingo shape that we looked at earlier. So as you start to think of keeping that external rotation, the pelvis is going to start to move forward. As you think about inner thigh lifting to create the line. Now I'm just keeping my foot flexed for the moment, so I can really feel my whole leg is engaged. Exhale, bring the foot down. So that's a really great way for you to build strength in your glutes, your hamstrings, and to really think about the inner thigh lifting to make the shape. You can also start to think about, like we did in locust pose, the chest lifting up and forward, and using the exercises that we did at the start of practice. So really building strength in the back body and helping us to maintain that arabesque line. Now, as dancers, we always tend to want to think, take the leg really high, but can we start to think about balancing flexibility and strength together? So maybe you practice that a couple of times, our yogic version of moving through an arabesque. Maybe you'd even like to start to incorporate some arabesque arms. So first arabesque, if we're standing on the left leg, left arm is forward, right arm is just off to the side. Find your balance. And then think, moving through our flamingo pose, inner thigh is lifting to keep and help maintain that external rotation as the chest is lifting up and forward. Leg doesn't have to be high. Bring the foot down. So yes, maybe I'm working with the standing leg in parallel. You can also try with turning that leg out. But the actions that we really want to cultivate is inner thigh lifting higher, glute engagement to maintain that external rotation and to find our balance. And our chest is lifting up and forward, creating a length in our curve rather than a squash compressed spine. Have a practice, maybe even stop the video, try on both sides, see what you can find. Forget about height, focus more on building strength and integrity within your body. Bring the feet about hip width apart, inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins, lengthen your chest. Exhale, hands down to the floor, stepping back, high plank. Either moving through a vinyasa or hips high, downward facing dog. Meeting back in down dog. Bring both knees down to the floor and then make your way onto your bum. So lengthening both legs long. Bring the right sole of the foot in towards the left thigh and then find an easy forward fold. So as dancers, it's super easy to focus, as I said, on flexibility. And we see the shape, we want to get the leg as high as we can. And we actually miss out on the opportunity of strengthening our body. And we need to cultivate as dancers a balance of both flexibility and strength. And particularly in our arabesque. Inhale, lift the chest. Changing the legs. Right leg long, bring the left foot in, find your forward fold. So particularly in our arabesque, we think that it's the flexibility that gets our leg high. And to some degree, yes, there needs to be some flexibility, but it's the strength work, the strength of the back, supporting leg, engagement of the glutes, inner thigh. So notice as dancers what you tend to favour. Is it more your flexibility? And where can you incorporate some of these strength work into your practice? Lengthen both legs long. Find an easy forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up to sit, crossing the legs, taking the right hand behind the back of the body, left hand to right knee. Find an easy twist towards the right side of your room. And it takes patience to build our strength and our flexibility. So if the leg isn't high to start, don't be disheartened. It doesn't mean you will never get there. It's just about taking time to build your strength and flexibility. Exhale, release. Take the twist towards the other side. And there's some great back strengtheners in there which are also going to really help to improve your arabesque. And add these into your practice. Do this video again, add this into your training and watch how your arabesque improves over time. Exhale, release. And then just come to a seat. Bring the hands onto the knees. Find a length through the spine and allow the eyes to close. And we'll just take about a minute in a seated meditation. So thinking about putting a full stop on the end of your practice, just a moment of pause before you transition into the rest of your day. Bring the palms together in towards heart center. Thank you for joining me on this practice. Namaste. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know, how did you get on with this video? Is there some takeaways that you can put into your practice? Check out my other videos. There's lots more on improving your back strength, dealing with lower back pain and working towards penché. I look forward to welcoming you to a class very soon.